Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand with the closing action on the D Street, starting from the benchmark index moves to sectoral action and all the stocks that are buzzing in trade. We'll also get you expert views as to where should your focus be in the current market setup. But first up, a quick check on how the markets are doing at this point as we inch closer to the end of the session. 116 points of a fall for the Sensex. It's definitely off the lowest point of the day, but still down in trade about 0.1%. Lower at 62,677. Look at the Nifty also, it's down by about just 20 odd points in trade. So it's absolutely muted, 18,572 currently for this index as well. The broader markets were trading mixed for large part of the day. And, even now if we see there's a 0.5% up move on the small caps, they are the ones that are outperforming the major indices. The mid caps have actually flattened out now, about absolutely flat with a negative bias at 34,000 odd levels for the mid cap 100 index. Among the other sectors of the Nifty, if you look at including the Nifty Bank, for example, that's also turned slightly positive with slight gains coming in on the private banks front, which has been leading the momentum right from the day one from today's trade. The FMCG stocks are absolutely flat with a negative bias as well. We've been seeing declines coming in on the IT pack, heavy sell-off in today's trade. It's still down by about 2 odd percent. And we've also seen of course, the auto space, for example, that's the one that's been outperforming the major markets today with 1% move on the upside. And we've been seeing record levels being created for Nifty Auto of late. The realty space also is doing very well with 1.2%. Uptick that you're seeing on this index as well. So it's a mixed trade as far as the markets are concerned, even in the broader space. In terms of the gainers and the losers, you will find a whole host of names coming in from the auto pack, from the realty space, from the Nifty Bank as well as some of the movers on the Nifty index today. Of course, some of these industrials like cement majors like Ultratech Cement, Grasim, they are moving the markets higher. Divis Laboratories, for example, has improved 2% up. Axis Bank, Tata Motors, Maruti, all of them inching higher. Of course, 555 for Tata Motors now. Kotak Mahindra Bank, M&M, Hero Moto, the other movers of over 1% odd for these stocks in today's trade. On the losing side, you do have the IT majors that have been coming under pressure today. Tech Mahindra, Infosys, TCS, even HCL Tech, Wipro. These are the big laggards on the Nifty index today. And ONGC is also coming under pressure with 1.2% of losses coming in. But let's welcome our guest on the show. Ambarish Baliga joins in, well-known market analyst. Welcome, Mr. Baliga, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. First up, I wanted to, I will definitely ask you about the markets and the sectors and the stocks that you're looking at right now. But the news point today has been that, NSE's move to shift Nifty Bank F&O expiry to Friday now. What does it really mean for the larger traders, investors, community? There are some discussions around as to how this may bring down some volatility. But on the other hand, it's being also looked at as a battle of Bourses, between Sensex and the Nifty now. And the Nifty Bank now on the Friday F&O expiry, where will the money flow? How do you really look at this whole, news development?
No, I suppose this will surely increase volatility to a certain extent because it's expected that both the exchanges will have the same day. But now this is going to be a different day. There could also be an opportunity of arbitrage. So people may possibly sell on BSE, buy on NSE. That sort of arbitrage which was there earlier, even that I think is very much possible. So I think we'll have to just wait and watch, but surely volatility is surely going to increase.
Okay, and the volumes for the markets, is that also going to go up?
Volumes, I would, possibly on the BSE where the volumes are lower, I think they could possibly gain a bit because of this move. So it's much possible that the volumes on BSE F&O could actually go up.
Okay, understood that. Indian markets per se, sir, have been also, climbing steadily all the walls of worries that have been there of late. We've been looking at how the markets are inching closer to record levels. But going forward into the, we've stepped into the second half of the calendar year as well. Where do you see the markets really trade from here on going forward? Which are the triggers that the markets will be reacting to?
See, I think, most of the triggers which have come in the recent past have actually been positive. If you look basically at the earnings, I think there was a positive surprise.
Yeah.
Expectations were low. Most of the companies came out with decently good results. Some of them really came out with excellent results. So at the same time, if you look at the macro numbers, whether you look at the GST numbers, whether you look at the inflation data, and even going ahead, looking at the rate hikes, which I think will be stalled to a certain extent. Even globally, Fed also we are clearly seeing the rate hike to be stalled. So overall, the environment is positive, and we have also seen the markets, move up decently well. I mean, we have seen those lows of 16,800, 17,000. From there, we have seen a one straight move without a major correction. So it's not possible for the markets to continue moving up without a correction or even a sideways sort of a consolidation. So I think we should see that now. So if you're talking of short to medium term,
Yeah.
I don't see the markets as such going anywhere. Possibly you'll have, specific stocks moving. But if you're looking at the broader indices, I
Mm-hmm.
think it will be range bound. I really
Okay.
don't see the markets crossing 18,500, 18,700, this band very
Okay.
easily.
Okay.
Like over the next 2, 3 months, we could see sideways sort of a movement. But then, if
Hmm.
you're talking longer term, I'm clearly bullish. You cannot afford not to be bullish on India. So, if you're talking of long term, I suppose a good correction here, I think, should be utilized to buy and hold on for long term.
Okay, long term, you cannot afford not to be bullish on India. That's the key takeaway, and any correction is definitely an opportunity to buy. In terms of valuations, how is the Indian market now placed when you compare it with the peers?
No, I suppose looking at the sort of a growth which we will see over the next 3 to 4 years, and I
Hmm.
suppose Indian economy would it be possibly one of the few bright spots globally. I think we should get premium valuations, and based on that, I think we are fairly valued. As of now. But like I said, just because the markets have moved up quite sharply in the last 2.5 months, we could see some sort of a correction. But like I said, should be utilized to buy because if you're talking of the next 3 to 4 years, I'll not be surprised if you're able to get about 18-20% CAGR. That's
Okay.
year on year growth over the next 3 to 4 years.
Okay. And any particular themes, sectors that you're now turning bullish on for the second half of calendar year or for FY24?
See, I've been bullish on FMCG. I'm bullish on autos.
Hmm.
Consumption story, clearly, I would be bullish on at least over the next, foreseeable 2 to 3 years.
Hmm.
And like if you're talking of the near future, I think it'll depend on the monsoons, which are expected to be normal. It could be a bit delayed, but overall, I think the spread would be normal. So that should be one of those triggers for this space. Other than that, I'm like positive on specialty chemicals. I'm positive on
Okay.
pharma, which has not done too well
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
2.5 years. There I'm quite positive right now. So these are a couple of sectors I'm playing. And again, like I said, I mean, you cannot go wrong with the India story. So the infra space is the one which is leading the story. So
Yeah.
anything related to infra should do well. So one should be looking at infra as well as cement.
Okay. Now you did point out autos, and autos clearly seem to be one space that has been flaring up. I mean, we've been seeing stocks like M&M already at 1400, Tata Motors at a 52-week high.
Right.
Do you at all feel that, for those investors who've been holding on amid this rally, is it time to take some profits off, or do you still see further legs to on this entire sector?
No, again, if you're talking of the next 3 to 4 months, and if the view is just next 3 or 4 months for those investors,
Hmm.
which means that they are more of traders, then I think one should book out to a certain extent and possibly wait for a small correction because what has happened in the auto space, despite the long waiting list, there's also a lot of inventory buildup in the models where there is not much of demand.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a bit of a negative if you're talking of the short term. So we could see a small correction, but then if you're talking of the next 2 to 3 years, 4 years, I think there's still a very long way to go for the autos. So
Hmm.
if one is a long-term investor, just hold on. If you're a short-term investor or a trader, possibly book profits and try and buy at lower levels.
Right. Another theme, sir, which most of the analysts are now talking about is the manufacturing theme as well. What is the best way to play this theme? Is it with some of the defense names, for example, the railways, for example? Which is the sector that you believe is the best place to really take the best of this manufacturing theme, if that is going to be a theme at all?
I mean, if you're looking at a slightly broader theme, yes, I think defense is going to be one space where we'll see extremely good growth. It's just not that the defense companies will be supplying to India. They'll
Hmm.
also be supplying to a number of third world countries because we are extremely good for exports right now. So I think this is one theme which has just started playing out. It started playing out in the last about 9 to 12 months. I think there's
Hmm.
a long to go for that. So defense is one space, railways is the other one, and engineering is the third one, where I think we should see extremely good sort of traction coming in.
Yeah. Of late, what we've also witnessed, sir, is that there's been a reversal of trend in terms of the FIIs flows as well. They have been buying, the DIIs have been booking profits. What do you think has changed? Is it the Indian economy at large, or would it be the valuations? Where would you think the weight is more?
So, like I said, you can't ignore India in the longer term. So
Hmm.
they have been selling for a decently long time. But now I think, like they also realized that India would be the only bright spot going ahead. So
Yeah.
they have started coming back because end of the day, there is, money to be invested globally,
Hmm.
and those monies flow to those economies which, perform better than the rest. And here, I think will be by far, I think one of the best performing economies going ahead. So FII flows will have to come.
Hmm.
Uh, I mean, the domestic mutual funds may be booking out to a certain extent because they had bought when the FIs were selling. They had bought at much lower levels. So
Yeah.
surely they will be, booking some profits. But then you have the retail investing into the mutual funds. End of the day, they cannot sit on cash for too long. So we'll surely see a day, which we normally don't see too often,
Yeah.
that both mutual funds as well as FIs are buyers.
Okay, so that day is also not fine. We'll continue to watch over that as well. You did point out that pharma is now looking positive for you because, after a whole lot of underperformance, that sector could look up. You didn't mention IT. What should one do now on IT? We've still seen today as a,
Right.
day of losses for this sector again. $500 million of, deals getting slashed right there. So there are concerns even brewing even now. How do
Exactly.
you see this space will pan out?
See, this is one space which will get affected because of the global slowdown, and that's already showing up. I mean, if you look at the management commentary, it's not as confident as they've been in the past. If
Yeah.
you look at the earnings, we have seen disappointments. So I see at least the next 2 or 3 quarters to be a bit slow for the IT space. So we could see some more correction, or at least we'll see that the stocks are not moving; they are more or less flat. So it doesn't make any point putting in fresh funds at this point of time into IT. But then if one has a slightly longer term view, if one has a three or 4 year view, I would suggest wait for a while. Possibly December could be a good month to start investing into IT.
Okay, so for a fresh investor, sir, looking at creating a portfolio today, how would you advise them to really build that portfolio?
Like I've always been advising that, building a portfolio is more of a no-brainer. 60% of your portfolio should, in fact, go into the blue chips and the large caps. And your portfolio typically should not have more than 25 to 30 stocks. So
Okay,
if about 60% goes into the top 50 or 100 stocks, which is not too difficult to choose from,
sure.
you need to work on the balance 40% of the portfolio, which would be more of small cap and mid caps. So it's those 10 or 15 stocks which you really need to study hard and ensure that you don't really go wrong.
That's wonderful, and easy way of how to really look at not going wrong in anywhere when you're constructing a portfolio for yourself as well. Any particular sector or theme where you would advise investors to stay away from, where you do believe there are things going to be still dicey?
No, as of now, among all the sectors I see, it's more of IT where I'm
Okay.
saying CFD at least till December. And the other sector, although it is connected to infra to a certain extent, but I see weakness out there is metals because we've seen a extremely good move in the metal space.
Yeah.
But then, looking at the sort of a slowdown which we are looking at globally, I really don't see the metal prices moving up much more from here. We've already seen most of the companies coming out with earnings which were worse than what we have seen in the last couple of quarters. So I think that slowdown is going to continue for a while longer.
Okay.
I mean, I really have the time frame for that, so I would suggest people to stay away from metals for the time being.
Okay, stay away from metals for the time being. How are you looking at the mid and the small cap space, sir, right now?
No, I think that's one space to be in because that is what will help you actually outperform the markets. But again, like I said, one needs to be a bit careful. I mean, just don't go out and buy anything just because someone is giving a tip, or just because it's a small cap or a mid cap. It need not really outperform. One needs to at least do a bit of a study and be decently confident of what the company is all about before you actually jump in and buy.
All right, understood that. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Baliga, for being with us always and sharing such wonderful insights about the markets with all our viewers that really help them, on a day-to-day basis to take the right decisions, be it any phase of the markets as well. Many thanks. Always having a pleasure to have you on our shows for sure. But let's look at the markets. In fact, the markets have turned positive as we inch closer to the day's close. So you're actually seeing some green ticks coming in. 18,600 back on the Nifty. The Sensex also higher by 35 points now. 62,818 currently with a flat to positive bias for these two major indices. Now let's look at the broader markets as well. Of course, the mid caps and the small caps both are now in the green zone with 34,042 coming in on the mid caps, 26 points of an uptick for that one. And the small caps is definitely leading the rally in today's trading action. So that seems to be a bit of positive as we inch closer to the day's trade. That gives us hope that tomorrow's trading session could also have some more buying action coming in and bulls coming back on this space as well. We'll continue to track the market movement for you, so you be with us on Business Today TV. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also continue to engage with us with our other social media platforms as well. Until then, thanks for tuning in.
Though not the Maharaja, Indigo is still the undisputed king of Indian skies. And the airline with the ubiquitous blue livery